Good day to you. I'm Danilo Evangelista, and welcome to our tropical weather outlook for September 8th, 2025. Starting off with the National Hurricane Center homepage, quite an unusual sight for September 8th. Tropical cyclone activity is not expected during the next 7 days. Now, we'll actually have to see if this is what indeed happens. But I mean, there is nothing right now that is super significant on the models. So this might as well actually be happening, and we might not have anything that will develop at all in the next week. And for early September, that is beyond that is foreign. It's not typical. We only had this last year, and to be fair, last year really did come back very strongly in late September and early October, and that could very well happen this year, but it's very unusual. And I might elaborate on this a little bit more later on in the week. But for now, just sticking to the fact that we don't have anything to watch in the Atlantic over the next 7 days. In the Pacific, though, that is not the case. We have two areas. One, Hurricane Kiko, which is now weakening after being a major hurricane for a few days, and at one point, especially around 2 days ago, quite a photogenic and impressive hurricane in its looks, but now it is weakening, and it's going to continue to weaken. Probably will become a tropical storm soon. Right now, 85 miles per hour with a minimum central pressure of 984 millibars, and then we have another area here off the coast of Mexico, and we're going to have to watch for this to potentially develop. But let's go in a little bit more on Hurricane Kiko here. Definitely does not have a look of a organized and well-structured hurricane anymore, dealing with a lot of very strong southwesterly shear, and you can see that there is pretty much no southern side to this storm. This is barely holding on in terms of the fact that it's a hurricane at all, and it's going to weaken probably by tomorrow. This is going to be a tropical storm, and this will pass north of Hawaii. So if you are in Hawaii and you're concerned about Kiko, you shouldn't be. This will pass to the north. Well, you shouldn't be concerned about direct impacts. Might still get a few showers and thunderstorms, and definitely in terms of surf and rip currents, Kiko will have its effects on the islands, and it'll probably last for a few days. But in terms of direct impacts, this is going to go pretty decently to the north, and will probably remain a tropical storm, probably all the way till the end of the week. But weakening, and again, will not directly impact Hawaii, which is obviously a good thing. Here's a satellite image of the Eastern Pacific and the Atlantic right now. And this just to give you a perspective of what we're watching right now in both basins. And there's not much in terms of any development that's happening right now in the Pacific, although we do have our area here off the coast of Mexico, which we need to watch. But there is a decent amount of convective activity, and also a little bit more convective activity here in the Atlantic. And this is because of a convectively coupled Kelvin wave moving by, but not sparking anything in terms of Atlantic tropical development. You can see here near the islands, this is the tropical wave. I think this is what was associated with 91L, and if the models panned out how they were forecasting, this probably should have been an intensifying hurricane heading towards the northern Caribbean islands by now, but obviously that's not going to be the case. This is very clearly sheared, and things did not come together. So now we're just stuck with a tropical wave that is approaching the northern islands here, and will probably bring some gusty winds and thunderstorms, but not looking at a hurricane right now. And in fact, zoom in more on the Atlantic, and you can see nothing in the way of anything trying to develop. There is some in the way of tropical wave activity here. I think there's a wave right in through here that is close to 50 west, and did actually look a little interesting this morning, producing quite a bit of convection, but obviously not producing anything right now that at least looks like it'll be a sign of developing into a tropical storm. And then we have another wave coming off the coast of Africa here. In fact, instead of just guessing where these waves are, I could just pull up the National Hurricane Center wave analysis, and yeah, you can see there's a wave here near 50 west, Then there's a wave here in the eastern Atlantic, and neither of them seem to be um, big big on any of the models. Nothing major in terms of development expected right now from any waves in the Atlantic. But we'll see. It's September after all, and especially with this wave here, or this trough of surface trough near the islands, that was 91L. Um, I said before, it's September during the peak of the hurricane season. You can't keep an eye. You have to keep your eyes on at all times. Just because something doesn't develop now does not mean that it could very quickly spark up later on. So you never know what happens with these waves, but nothing major right now. And I'll just take you through the GFS here over the next week. And you can see here in the Atlantic, nothing major happens, at least when we take it out to hour 168. Obviously, now when you go further beyond that, as I just very quickly did, the GFS is starting to show some things developing. And I will say, once we get towards mid-September, we are supposed to have an actual MJO wave maybe come through and make things a little bit more favorable in the Atlantic. It really just seems like we need the MJO to time properly in order for us to even get stuff to occur in the Atlantic. And it's a little weird because it's not always been like this, but especially this year it seems like. And I also noticed that this has also been the case last year. The season is very heavily dependent on whenever MJO comes, and obviously we don't have an MJO, an especially strong MJO in the Atlantic right now because, again, out to the next week, absolutely no development occurring, and this is all the way out to September 15th. Can you believe it? From the first 2 weeks of September, typically climatology-wise, they are the most active 2 weeks in the Atlantic in history, or climatology speaking, they tend to be the most active 2 weeks in the Atlantic. Typically, we don't have anything at all expected to develop. I mean, there is some interesting thing here off the East Coast, and that might be probably the one area that we could even look at all for the next week or so for development, because we do have a lot of these cold fronts that are off the East Coast and have been that way for quite a few weeks now. But even then, we've had opportunities, namely thinking about last month. I remember that there were a few opportunities, but those didn't pan out. I mean, there was one storm, if you remember, Tropical Storm Dexter from early last month, formed from something developing off the East Coast. But in the deep tropics especially, nothing. Quite an interesting feat. And because of that, we are starting to see the season as a whole begin to significantly lag behind, named storm-wise in the Atlantic. And I'll actually specifically zoom in here in the Atlantic. Actually, let me go to this page first. Typically, we have 6 named storms. Well, we have 6 named storms in the Atlantic right now. Typically, we have about 8. So we're already above normal in terms of named storms. Named storm days as well. We are at just under 22 named storm days, and typically right now we have about 31 to 32. We have one hurricane, only one hurricane, yet typically we have 3 hurricanes by now. Hurricane days also lagging behind. Majors were also lagging behind as well, although this is a little bit less significant. But also very importantly too, the ACE, we're at 39, and typically as we get towards the peak of the season, and let me actually bring you back to this page here. Typically by now, climatology speaking, ACE, we tend to skyrocket quite a bit. In fact, by the end of the month, typically we have, and let me see, by the end of the month, we're already at 94, 95 ACE points. And so far, September 7th, as of today, we only have 39 ACE points. So we're lagging quite behind, and we're definitely not going to have anything to add to that over the next week. So let's just say that things are starting to run, and we're starting to run out of time here for the Atlantic to be able to make a huge comeback before we start seeing a lot of these above normal predictions that were made, including by me. I will admit, including by me, I was pretty adamant that the season would be above normal, especially compared to a lot of people saying that the season wouldn't be active. We're starting to run out of time, and especially with the fact that we're not going to have anything develop in the next week, really starts to raise the questions of whether or not the season even has a chance at being above normal overall anymore. But uh, I do remember we were in a very similar situation this time last year, and things came roaring back, especially in the last week of September and in October. And that might happen again this year. Not saying it will exactly because that's what the pattern indicates, but just going based off of the fact, maybe a conversation that people have been having for the last several years, especially since 2019. Maybe the peaks of the hurricane season are starting to get much, much later on, and now we're starting to get to the point where the peak is shifted so late that it doesn't happen all the way till late September. So that might be what the case is right now. Maybe we're just waiting till then for activity to really spike up. But until then, we are starting to run out of time before the seasonal forecasts really do take a hit. And I'll go over that a little bit more in detail later this week and throughout the next several weeks as we continue on here into the peak of the hurricane season. But it certainly doesn't feel like a peak for now. But you know what? We'll take it, obviously. It's a good thing that there's not any tropical activity happening because, it's not fun to deal with. It does impact people's lives. But, for tropical enthusiasts like me, from time to time, not with the purpose of, wanting to get clicks or views, but it's interesting, tracking tropical cyclones. They are very fascinating, and uh, it is mind-boggling that we're in a time like we are right now, and there is no activity happening. But with that being said, I'm going to end it off for today's video. Hope you enjoyed what you saw today, and as always, I'll be back with more tomorrow.